Ryan.
You can still find shrapnel holes in the building and a memorial to the victims outside. It is the threat of that type of terrorism that former Washington area residents now living in Israel say they face every day of their lives here. But they, like virtually every Israeli we spoke with, have learned that dwelling on the unthinkable is not the way to survive it.
We couldn't believe it. We just heard on the next mountain over, you know, battles, gun battles taking place.
The West Bank is a long way from Rockville, where Nancy Samuels Cowan used to live.
Helicopters running overhead all the time at night, so we're sort of right in the thick of it here.
15 years in Israel have taught her to be vigilant and to never take personal safety for granted.
You can live with it. It's hard, but you learn to live with it. You learn to be really aware and careful, and you learn to just not be lazy and be always aware of your surroundings.
Awareness is what Chuck Davidson of Silver Spring takes with him every day. Davidson survived a horrific shopping center bombing in 1996 with his life and his sense of optimism intact.
Human beings are very resilient, and even if you see things that are tragic and ugly and extremely unpleasant, you get over it. And so you have to keep your wits about you and go on your normal business and don't let them win.
In Jerusalem, three of the world's great religions come together. Each one teaches tolerance and understanding. Yet there is a struggle here that Americans no doubt will recognize. Gil Locks of Silver Spring calls it a struggle with prejudice that stems from fear.
You always have to be suspicious. You like to walk down the street and love everybody. But when certain people, certain types of people are attacking you, then you look at them with a leery eye.
And in the struggle to come to grips with terrorism, that may be the hardest lesson of all. In Jerusalem, Dale Solly, ABC 7 News. It's a warm night in downtown Jerusalem, and there is no sign of trouble.
This is a crowded place on a Saturday night. Some people might be afraid. I'm not.
American students insist they feel safe here.
You have to go on living life here, and we make intelligent decisions, and that's the best that we can do.
In Israel, security is life. Soldiers and police are everywhere, and everyone is constantly on guard. But they couldn't prevent what happened at this Jerusalem restaurant. It was here this past August that Israelis learned another lesson about terrorism's deadly game. A suicide bomber blew himself and more than a dozen other people to pieces. Even here, safety is not guaranteed. But the restaurant was rebuilt. A guard at the door now checks every bag. Manager Aladdin Abu Omar, who missed the massacre by only minutes, says in this country, you have to go on.
I'm not afraid. Don't have to be afraid. I have to start my war, my life.
Israeli security goes beyond the soldiers, and the place to really see that is at the mall. Every car is searched, every shopper goes through a checkpoint.
I carry my passport because they want to know who you are, and they really look up the number of that passport.
Israelis know their targets, and they live accordingly. They were targets during the Gulf War, worrying if Saddam Hussein was sending chemical weapons in with his Scud missiles. Now they watch the American anthrax crisis, wondering if that disease is headed their way. So at the mall, every Israeli can register to get a free, government-issued gas mask.
Everybody has to be aware. Bin Laden is doing his work very well.
And so awareness is the watchword on this warm night in Jerusalem.
Everybody is a suspect. The truth is that you never know who's gonna
who has a bomb and who doesn't.
Security here comes with a price that Israelis are more than willing to pay. In Jerusalem, Dale Solly, ABC 7 News. It is noisy, dangerous, and a place where emotions run high.
There is no peace with Israel. There is no peace with America. There is no peace.
But if you want to reach the Palestinian city of Ramallah from Jerusalem, this is how you have to go. The Palestinians say they have their own special understanding of what terror is and what terror means. And they say that within that understanding lies a lesson for us all. Ramallah has seen some of the worst violence of the current Palestinian uprising. People who live here blame Israel for what they call state-sponsored terrorism. These Ramallah businesswomen say fearful Americans can learn from them.
Talk about this trauma, to get it out of themselves, out of them, of their deep insight, to share it with others. This is very important.
Every day we are living in like this situation. But we always try to live our life.
Go to work, they say. Go out. Send your children to school. Shop. Eat. Live.
They should go back to their normal life.
The important issue is how to control fear and not let fear control you. If fear controls you, you will lose your humanity.
The same feeling echoed through the Palestinian town of Beit Jala, just outside Bethlehem. Nisreen Kunkar is a Christian Palestinian who lives in a house where sandbags protect the windows and Israeli tanks peer down from the town of Gilo. She says Americans must now take stock of what they have and not what they've lost.
What they have to feel good about is that there's a government who gives them some kind of relief. There's someone who's backing them up all the time.
After September 11th, she says, hate is an easy emotion, but not one that will serve America in the long term.
I mean, there are minorities in each community. There are fanatics in each community. I feel bitter, I feel angry, I feel like, yeah, I don't know, but I don't hate anyone.
But hate has now come to Bethlehem, and the advice we've been given is being put to the test. The road to peace here is a hard one indeed. In the Palestinian city of Ramallah, Dale Solly, ABC 7 News. You pass a military checkpoint and drive into the harsh land of the occupied territories. This is where the story of 13-year-old Kobe Mandel unfolds.
He wasn't afraid of anything. He just was, he wasn't a kid who was afraid.
Kobe and his family moved to Israel from Silver Spring, and he adapted quickly to his new home outside Jerusalem. But angry clashes with nearby Arabs were common. Earlier this year, Kobe and another boy were murdered as they hiked those hills. Their killer stoned them to death and then escaped. But his mother says that she has found a lesson in his death. A lesson, she says, will serve us all well as we all try to come to grips with terrorism.
I'm sad. I grieve, I mourn, but hate's not going to get me anywhere.
Sherry Mandel has a personal relationship with the kind of hatred many Americans are feeling now.
I mean, I feel hate, but I won't succumb to hate, because if you give in to hate, then you're like the terrorists. You're living your life according to their values. The people who killed him don't motivate me. What motivates me is to go on and to do good in his name.
She knows many Americans are also afraid to travel, to go out, to open their mail. She has a personal relationship with fear, too.
You don't get past it. You're afraid. But courage isn't living without fear. Courage is living with fear and still going on.
And for everyone who is in pain over the losses at the Pentagon and the World Trade Center,
the pain can kill you, but the point is not to let them control you, not to let hate control you, and not to let evil control you. To go forward and to try to do good in the world and not to focus on the hate.
Sherry Mandel's world and ours has changed forever. But if you believe her, it's a change that we can live with if we try. In the occupied territories, Dale Solly, ABC 7 News.
Yeah.